Thanksgiving is a time for stories, ones that bring us together, make us reflect, and of course, share the joy of food. Join us as we take you on a journey through 5 inspiring videos that celebrate the power of gathering around the table.
If you come to this location the week of Thanksgiving, it will blow your mind. I mean, thousands and thousands of pies. I don't think they sleep, they just bake.
Thanksgiving is our busiest time of the year, and we are making about 12 to 15,000 pies that week. To know that we are putting so many pies out of this one small place in Brooklyn, and then it's going to go into kitchens or dining room tables all over the city, it's really an amazing feeling. My name is Petra Paredes, and I am the owner of Petey's Pie Company. To me, a great pie has a really tender and flavorful crust, and the filling is really nice and balanced. So I don't want it to just be sweet. If it's a fruit pie, I want it to be sweet and a little tart, just like biting into a nice piece of fruit. As a kid, I didn't always know what my friends' parents did. They worked in offices. My parents had a pie bakery and they made pies. So it was very straightforward and simple, and wherever we went, we brought pies. So it's always been such a big deal to us. Even when we went to other restaurants, we would buy pies to try. Thanksgiving was always a really bustling and busy time. I have 3 siblings. We would stay home from school because my parents were simply too busy to take us to school. And we would work alongside our parents. We were wrapping pies, we were getting pies for orders, greeting customers and going back to retrieve their pies. And for us, it felt like a really fun and important thing to do. We were always super exhausted, so we would go to Thanksgiving dinner at my aunt and uncle's house. But for us, just sort of culling down into a few pie selections for Thanksgiving dinner is super tricky. So we would tend to bring usually around like 20 pies. We're heading over to the Borough Hall Green Market, which is where we're going to pick up some pumpkins. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that when they buy a can of pumpkin at the store, they are typically made with neck pumpkins, which sort of look like an elongated butternut squash. It's not the little round orange pumpkins typically that you identify as a pumpkin. They are essentially the same botanically with minor differences. For me, a butternut squash or a blend of butternuts and kabochas, those are the nicest produce to use to make a pumpkin pie. A lot of my recipes come from my dad's recipes as a starting point, and then I change them. But there are some pies that I encountered just sort of by chance. When we first started our bakery, my husband told me about the New York Public Library's menu project, where they upload old restaurant menus from New York City and beyond. One really interesting pie that I kept seeing on these menus was Nesselrode pie. It used to be a New York classic pie offering that sort of went extinct, and that made me want to make my own version of it. Pumpkin pie is the sort of quintessential Thanksgiving pie. I think it's because it's part of that mythology of our apocryphal first Thanksgiving. It's a perfect symbol of sharing because it is one dish that we cut up and we distribute among the table. And that sort of circle, the shape of a pie itself sort of represents wholeness. And I think there's a sort of cultural significance of it being a combination of squash or pumpkins that are native to the Americas being blended with European culinary traditions. I've read a lot about pumpkin pies. One of the original proto pumpkin pies may have been a pumpkin that has been hollowed out and with a sweet custard, just sugar, eggs, and cream baked inside of it. Way back in history, pie crust was often a baking vessel. I'm talking, the medieval ages, perhaps. It would be a sort of almost more like a pot that has been made out of flour and water. You could eat it if you had to, but you would more likely eat the contents out of it and then use it again. And these days, luckily, we don't have to resort to that. And we can make a nice, tender, buttery crust that we actually want to eat.
Woohoo! No, I haven't had a pumpkin pie before. I'm excited.
I've never had a pumpkin pie before, nor have I ever wanted to have a pumpkin pie. Just does not appeal to me.
I've been to a few Thanksgivings, but I normally ate so much at the beginning that there wasn't much room left at the end.
Yeah, I like pumpkin. Eat pumpkin probably mostly around Halloween. Sometimes it's in certain foods I eat. They have like a pumpkin that you put in. So I'm the guy to eat some pumpkin pie.
You know what I am? I haven't actually tried pumpkin pie before. This is new.
Halloween is about as close as I get to even seeing a pumpkin all year.
If I had to guess what's in a pumpkin pie, obviously the first thing would be pumpkin, but I'm not too sure what else would be in a pie. I'm assuming, we're looking at the base, obviously bread.
I think there's pumpkin in it.
My first guess is going to be some sort of pumpkin or gourd, squash, sugar, hoping butter.
I'm going to assume pumpkin, and then cinnamon.
Pumpkin pastry is all I can think of. If something's got that in there, I'll be happy.
Okay. How big a bite are we talking? Go for the end.
I might go crust end because I want like a 50-50. I want like some,
Oh, it's so moist and squishy. Oh God, that was easy. Ooh.
It's a good pie. It's a good pie. You ain't getting it back. I'm gonna eat it.
The pumpkin's not that strong. It's sweet, but not too sweet. Pastry's nice and firm. I like a cold tart. I'm gonna have another bite.
Yeah, it's giving cheesecake.
To test it again, let me see what's the taste in it.
That's incredibly tasty. It reminds me of carrot cake.
It tastes amazing. I don't even like pumpkin.
Wow, that's incredible.
I'm feeling like a American bald-headed eagle right now. That's how much I'm loving this pie.
Genuinely very tasty. Petey's pies.
Think you've had the best pie? Wait until you see this.
It's Thanksgiving. Turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes. But the one thing that has always stood out is a bit of a head scratcher. Sweet potato casserole. We're pretty sure sweet potatoes and marshmallows weren't at the original Thanksgiving, so what happened? Sweet potatoes have been around forever. And marshmallows, this sticky, gooey mess, actually comes from a plant and has been around since ancient Egypt, a delicacy only pharaohs could eat. Okay, fast forward to the 20th century. Marshmallows were a big deal, expensive, and essentially the Cristal of sweet treats. And not only that, but they were even handmade. Marshmallows became a mainstay for highfalutin housewives. See, back then, housewives would have to make whipped cream or even meringue by hand, but the marshmallows were a modern time saver. The first recipe that paired sweet potatoes and marshmallows appeared in 1918 in a trade journal cleverly named Sweet Potatoes and Yams. As marshmallows grew in popularity and began being mass-produced, more and more recipes began implementing them as an everyday ingredient. Nowadays, marshmallows are generally reserved for campfires and hot chocolate, and this non-traditional favorite. Whether you like your sweet potatoes a la marshmallow or plain, happy Thanksgiving.
Vegan this Thanksgiving? No worries, we've got just the dish for you.
The very thought of Thanksgiving drums up foods worth salivating over, like stuffing, mashed potatoes, and of course, the tofurkey. But this Thanksgiving veggie substitute wasn't just whipped up overnight. It actually took years of trial and error. So we called the guy who invented it.
I am Seth Tibbett, and I am the inventor of tofurkey.
Seth Tibbett was living in Oregon. He was a teacher and a self-professed hippie who lived somewhere, shall we say, unusual.
I built my own 3-story treehouse out of scavenged wood.
He was also a serious vegetarian, so serious that he started his very own tempeh making company.
And I made soy tempeh, 5-grain tempeh, and a sausage tempeh called Temperoni. And I just made tempeh for the first 15 years.
But there was a problem.
Which was finding something to eat at my own Thanksgiving.
You see, at the time, there were no main dishes for vegetarians available. So Seth set out to solve the problem, and it wasn't so easy. First, he created a stuffed pumpkin.
The stuffed pumpkin was the famous one that we still talk about. The whole thing on the pumpkin was that it collapsed in the oven and it seemed more like a side dish than a main dish.
Then there was
the gluten roast, which was really an all-day thing, took like 8 hours. Literally, it was just too tough to cut with any kind of implement that we had, other than a chainsaw, which we did not bring to the table.
Eventually, Seth teamed up with his friend Hans.
He was making these tofu roasts, had a little bit of gravy in there with them. We added the drumettes because we were mimicking the turkey and marketed it under the name tofurkey.
Throughout the years, the recipe evolved.
We soon realized that this is a vegan feast and vegan plants don't have legs, so yeah, it's been a long journey, long strange tempeh trip, as a hippie would say.
And now,
around here we call turkey a tofurkey substitute.
Let's turn back the clock to the original Thanksgiving table. Discover the rich traditions and flavors of Native American cuisine.
People need to understand that all of North America is indigenous land. It is native land. People tend to forget that there was a vibrant native culture living in all parts of North America. And food is really the piece that's going to help us move forward into a brighter future. My name is Sean Sherman, and I am a chef. I own the company The Sous Chef. So this is going to be 2 pieces per plate for these. Our mission is revitalizing Native American foods and re-identifying North American cuisine. We've tried really hard to maintain authenticity by removing all of the colonial ingredients like dairy, wheat flour, processed sugar, beef, pork, chicken, and we're just using a lot of wild game, a lot of the native agricultural, heirloom varietals, a lot of the wild foods around us, and really making those plates that taste like a region. Most of these ingredients are very familiar to people, but the usage of a lot of the wild plants really talk about a place and a community. We prioritize purchasing from the indigenous vendors first because we really want to open up a lot of opportunity for indigenous people growing out farms or collecting things from the wild or raising animals. So for the big dinner, we're actually cooking this bison down with a bunch of fresh cedar and some bergamot. We will purchase from anybody raising these indigenous pieces because it is such an important part of the landscape and the history.
You know you want it.
As we travel around the country, we like to make dinners and foods that really represent those areas. What's great about being able to do these dinners, especially in non-indigenous communities, is just to bring awareness.
This kind of food that we're eating today, like you're gonna feel really good when you leave here. You're not gonna feel heavy and weighted down. You're gonna feel energized and just happy because you're knowing where this food is coming from.
We feel like anybody across North America will benefit from the understanding of the indigenous food systems around you, and it's all going to help us move forward.
But Thanksgiving isn't just about the food. It's about the stories and the people you choose to call family.
You may have been rejected by your family because you're LGBT. So our Thanksgiving celebration is a way to celebrate our family that we build here at the center and for everyone to have the opportunity to be supported during the holidays.
I'm Nico Tortorella. I'm an actor, an activist, and a firm believer that our differences actually make us stronger. I'm on a journey with IKEA to meet real people and discover the diverse and spectacular ways they celebrate the holidays. Maybe you celebrate Thanksgiving with your extended family, and maybe you celebrate Thanksgiving with your chosen family, like the people at our first stop.
I'm David Mariner, and I'm the Executive Director of the DC Center for the LGBT Community. Welcome to our 5th annual Thanksgiving celebration. Everyone comes with their own experiences and traditions and customs. We need to acknowledge not just their LGBT identities, but their whole self.
My name is Nicholas Mawanda. I'm originally from Uganda, but right now living in Washington, D.C.
The DC Center helps LGBTQ+ asylum seekers and refugees who are no longer safe in their own countries.
It's commonplace for someone to be kicked out of their home in Uganda for LGBT. It's commonplace for someone to be disowned by their family.
This year, the asylum seekers and refugees are bringing a traditional dish from their home country to share with the entire center. Nick is preparing Rolexes.
It's called Rolex in Uganda, too.
Yes, and it's just the way we roll it. It is really important for me that I share the beautiful thing about my culture. We celebrate brotherhood, sisterhood in forms of sharing.
Knife is on the inside or the outside?
Knife is on the inside.
Hi everyone, I'm Tamara. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. My tradition actually has been coming to the DC Center to volunteer and give back.
I think when we go around the table and we share the traditions that we have around the holidays, we all are a little bit more connected and we understand how similar we all are.
My favorite holiday tradition is eating, and second only by being around my friends and family.
I grew up in Nebraska, and we always had a Thanksgiving dinner like not too different than this.
I would love to share the good things about my tradition. People won't learn unless you share. It's part of bringing cross cultures. It's part of learning about each other, appreciating each other.
We celebrate differently, but maybe that's what makes us all so beautiful.
It's more important today than ever to show up for the holidays as yourself. Share your tradition.
Because the more that we see, the more we believe, the more we respect, and the more we love.
Full hearts, full plates, and plenty of stories to tell. We hope these videos added something special to your Thanksgiving. Enjoy the day, share the love, and remember to subscribe for more.